It's Informe, a social media conversation for April 18, 2014. I'm Nate Manahan.
And I'm Dustin Hickle.
We're going to spend some time talking about social media. We're going to talk about Facebook. And I'm going to share a little bit of how I personally used it this week and the good, the bad, and the ugly of Facebook.
Pretty good story. Really cool story, actually.
Yeah.
A little bit of ugliness to it. We're going to talk about Twitter, too. Big stories this week, US Airways, and Robert Downey Jr.
And that's why we call it a slow week, so we can take a good deal of conversation and get to the infographic of the week. All this on Informe, a social media conversation. Keep watching. Welcome back to Informe, a social media conversation. We're going to, talk about a few articles.
Yeah.
Rant, rave, see how things are going.
Right.
So, in social media world this week for you, Dustin, great week, lots of buzz, a slow week. What are you seeing out there in the social media world?
You know what? Not a lot of buzz. Not a lot of buzz this week. Big news. Huge news. Twitter has pop-up notifications.
Oh my!
Just blows my mind.
I know. They're going to actually tell me. So now, not only do I get a pop-up notification, but if I don't forget to turn off the emails, I'm going to get an email saying somebody mentioned me, or an email saying there's a direct message, and they're just going to keep telling me until, yeah, that's going to work out great.
Right. Hey, it might be useful if you're in the stream.
It can be useful. You know what? And for me, it could become too busy because I cover enough accounts and I see enough. If you never notice it, it may help you notice some things.
Sure.
I'm not totally sure how it's going to work. I did notice it yesterday when I was on the Twitter page. It happened for me one time, and I don't remember how, but I remember suddenly there was something hovering in my Chrome, and it was the Twitter notification.
Nice.
So yeah, congratulations, Twitter. Great job. We're excited. So
yeah,
not all that much news. Sometimes there are weeks in social media where I don't know what it is. There's just not the big buzz. But for me this week, it was an interesting experience because I typically tend to now use social media solely as a business. And so this past week, and not to bring it up all this way, but my dad had heart surgery yesterday. And we were asking for some prayer, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to jump back on Facebook. And it had literally been, I have to look, since I had made a personal statement, I bet it's been 18 months. I could look at it, but it's been a long time. And I had jumped out of Facebook. It just wasn't healthy for me in my life. I was spending too much time on it. I didn't need to see things. It was causing things that I didn't need to know what people that I'd known 30 years ago were doing.
Right.
I jumped on there and put out a Facebook message telling people that my dad was having surgery and asking people to pray and share concerns. And we got lots of comments. And what was really cool, and I don't know if you've ever had this experience, and your parents, are closer to my age. We've gone over this, have mercy. But I don't know if you're with your grandparents, when they see the power of social media. And I got that moment when we were sitting there with my mom, and my sister and I, literally, we were able to just read over hundreds and hundreds of names of people that were commenting, both on shares of my post and some other people that had posted about my dad. And it was really cool to be able to, and literally it brought tears to her eyes as she thought about all the people that are sending prayers and comments to my dad as he was going through this. And he's doing well, and we recorded this the day after, and we are recording this a day late because of that. I was a little frustrated on Facebook.
Yeah.
And tell me, do I have a right to be frustrated? I put out this post, and I had people that are my close personal friends who never saw that post unless they went and searched for me because it wasn't elevated in their stream because I'm not active on Facebook.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, and the only way I would have gotten that promoted in their streams because I clicked on it just to see how much they were going to charge me. It's $6.60 if I wanted to promote my own post. And it just frustrated me because I don't think Facebook. We know it happens because you and I talk about it, and if you're watching the show, you get our incredible expertise about what's going on with Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and all these things and how to get your message out there. But for the average person, they have no idea that Facebook is curating their friends and telling them what they should look to. And I'm fine with that as a brand. Make me pay.
Yep.
But when I want to actually have real interaction with my friends, make it easy for me to know how to actually see that and not have to go through hoops. And it bothered me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I completely understand. I guess both sides. Number one, who is Facebook to determine who gets to see, who wants to see your posts?
Yeah.
Just because you haven't been active in a year and a half on Facebook, why does that mean that certain people see it, certain people don't see it? That's frustrating. That's super frustrating, and that they wanted to charge you to promote it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to tell Facebook, go out there and, hey, give something away for free. But if you have something that's a big deal in your life like that, there should be a way for you to push that to way more people than you normally would without paying someone $6.60. Now, that's not a huge sum of money. It's not like you're paying $6,000. And I can understand Facebook's trying to make money, but at the same time, who are they to do that?
Or at least tell us. And I knew it was happening, but as I was trying to explain it to my sister, and when I realized it, it just dawned on me, most people don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And they think, I'm going to jump back in and send, and they don't see the power. Now,
Right.
I still had, I don't know, on any given post, I probably, between the several posts I put out yesterday, I didn't count, probably 120 different people between comments and likes, and which is still more powerful. And these people would have never known what my dad was going through 10 years ago because we would have not really had a capability to send them maybe a mass email at that point.
Yeah.
And 20, 30 years ago, there would have been no shot except for a phone tree. And, hey, could you call your 10 friends?
Right.
And this was a fast way to do it. And that, what I loved is watching people as it was happening, knowing they were in groups all over the world, literally, that were able to be praying and thinking about it was just something I was thinking about. At least Facebook, because I liked it. Google this week came out and redid their terms of service for Gmail, and they rephrased their wording and basically said, I forget exactly, you can look it up, but on their diff, which is their differential from their new terms of service in their role, they changed, this is what we're doing with your Gmail, and they specifically said, our computers are reading your email so we can serve you ads. And it was before they had said that, but it was in much more flowery language.
Yes.
And we all knew it was happening.
Yeah.
But they came out and said it. And that's what I want Facebook to say, and it's Facebook just to come out and say, look, we're trying to tell you what you should read and what's important. And, at least be honest about
Yeah,
it.
and there needs
tell
to
us
be a way.
how they're doing that. And I know, so maybe they just simply say how we treat individuals versus how we treat brands is different. And I'm fine with that. And then police us, because I know people will try to abuse the system, but police us as brands.
Yes.
And allow individuals and friends to. It was just something I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, really beautiful in what social media was able to do for you and your family and spread the word like that. Also, I can totally see what you're saying. A little bit irritating in that Facebook didn't ever give you a way to change what they were showing.
Yeah.
There's no, I mean, like you said, we talked before, you could have made groups, you could have had 20 or 30 groups on there that you were sharing with, but that requires a lot of legwork and a lot of groundwork that if Facebook's really trying to make it easier for us.
And the majority of people, I spend my day reading news stories, often, not my whole day, but a good portion of my week reading news stories about what's happening with Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, all these different social media platforms so we can better serve our clients and better serve you guys as Salcha. However, most people don't do that, and they know that, and I think they sneak in this, hey, we're just going to create this algorithm, you're not going to know how it works, and maybe they need to have some secret juice, that's fine, but then be a little more clear. I don't know. I don't know if it's a valid rant. I'm certainly emotional about it, and so it was just something that dawned on me.
Well, let's give Facebook credit for this latest thing that they launched, their friend tracking feature.
Yes.
Kind of cool, kind of scary, but reading this article here on CNN or CNN Tech, this is not an automatic thing. Facebook did not come out and say you are automatically opt-in to show your location to all your friends.
Right.
You have to go in and opt into it. And they came out straight up and said, no, this is not a thing. You have to go opt into it. So that's...
And I think in cities this will be a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Not so much in small town northern Indiana where we are right now, though it could be useful at times.
Yeah.
But when you walk into a situation and you say, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I'm getting ready to hang out and walk on the street and I can see where my friends are and where they're hanging out. And hey, there's 3 of them down here at Joey's Bar and Shack, or I don't know why I made that name up.
It makes sense.
But there's a way to interconnect. And so good job, Facebook. And there's lots of places that Google has tried to do that a little bit with Latitude and some other things in there, Google Plus, and you can share, tell people when I'm coming home and it sends and that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
We know everybody's watching everything.
Yes.
They know
There's no
what's
secrets.
going on.
No.
And so Facebook already knew where you were, and they were probably sharing it. And I know, having seen it, they have a giant map that just pings and shows up where, they don't name it, but hey, this is where all these people are sharing, and in real time, they know what's going on.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
they know down to the square meter where you are. Make it useful. So
make it really useful. So really cool tool. Showing Facebook's probably learning something.
Yeah. So now, how do you use a tool like this as a brand? So can a brand, and this article I don't think really specifically says how a page can use this. Because will they be able to share? Because there's real time data. So when you walk into a store and they're in your store,
Right.
That is the holy grail of information. iBeacon on the Apple side, and I forget the technology on the Android side, but everybody's tying for this. We want to know where a person is at the time so we can sell an ad that's directly geared to them because they're in our mall or they're in our city, and we want them to know that as they're driving by McDonald's, they can get a free coffee that morning because there's a special going on.
Yeah, boy, you know what? With this particular feature, I don't think it's applicable at all.
Right.
I think this one you have to opt in, and you have to create friends, and you have to create lists and share it with specific friends and all that. It's not going to work for brands, but is it laying the ground floor, the foundation for something that brands could use that way? Maybe.
Yeah. Well, and it's going to allow us as brands, our brands become friends of other people. So. Yes, I tweet on behalf of Salcha, but I also have Twitter. I have a tweeter for NK Manahan, and if someone chooses, and occasionally I throw that out, and I will probably do it tonight when I cover Shark Tank. I will say things like, "Hey, this is NK Manahan tweeting," just full awareness, and we'll go back and forth, and just so people know that. And I know that there are a few people that follow me on NK Manahan because you've either watched a show or there's some reason, and they'll interact with me that way.
Yeah.
Then. If I do that on Facebook, there may be an interconnection for my brand to help us become a little more personal with our friends.
Sure.
And especially in smaller communities, for brands like Coca-Cola, they're not going to open it up and say, "Hey, here's all 6 million of our likes on Facebook," and they know where we are.
Right, absolutely.
But there's something interesting, and Facebook and Twitter and every one of these social medias know where they are because we're all using our smartphones, and the GPS is built in. And even if it's not GPS, the triangulation, they know within. The NSA is watching. Just
right. Hey, but as a small business, for someone like you, a small business there. This actually, since you kind of went on that little rant there, I started to make you think, if you are the face of your business, of your small business, if it's Sally's Donuts, and you're Sally, and people know that that's you, and you're friends with people because of how successful your small business is, all of a sudden you got a PR personality, a person connected, just like you were saying.
Yeah.
I'm over here at this coffee shop giving away free donuts today, and let all your friends know exactly where you are. Yeah, totally. Really cool idea.
Yeah. Use not only your brand, but make sure that you're a human to human.
Yes.
And don't see your brand as this building, or see it as a person that's trying to serve other people. And be focused on what you can give. And I don't know where as we meander through all of our articles and think through it, that's part of what social media is right. We have to figure out, that's what I love about it. The truth is, this is an H to H thing. Human to human, we want to put skins on our brands, and when you do that, it certainly takes another article. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes. Yeah. And a few weeks ago, in the last few weeks, US Airways had a tweet that was a little bit inappropriate.
Or a lot inappropriate.
Yeah, okay. Let's be really honest. I have not seen the picture.
I haven't either.
And I'm not going to look at it. Apparently, you can find it out there, and I'm pretty sure it's probably pretty easy to find. In fact, I know we're going to link up an advertising age article that does not have the picture. It is children safe, and we want you to know that. But
absolutely.
The picture that they put in their feed, not so much.
No, total pornography. And it was really interesting. The most interesting part, yes, it was a mistake, and it was a big kind of blunder on their side of social media management, but the most interesting part is how they handle it, especially on the coattails of this article right here goes on the coattails of what happened with Home Depot, and what was the other big one that happened recently?
Chrysler a year ago said, so now this was blatant, and it was their ad agency, their social media agency that said it. "I find it ironic that Detroit is known for the Motor City, and yet no one knows here how to effing drive." Right. And they didn't use effing. Now, here's what I'm interested in. They did not fire. Yes. US Air came out and said it was a mistake. Yep. And to me, I agree. There are times, especially when we are in social media, is about engagement and responding as quickly as possibly you can. And sometimes that means you're going to hire people and work with people. They're going to do it very fast, and you're going to make a mistake. And you don't want them to have to go through the review process. Yep. I was listening to a podcast. I mentioned him often on Marketing Podcast, and he was reading an article about the Toronto and the government in Canada, how long it takes for one tweet to get all the approvals that it needs to be posted. It's literally weeks. Wow. And suddenly it's just useless. I mean,
Right.
all it is propaganda at that point. And social media and its power is the fact that you can respond in real time. And in real time, people are going to make mistakes.
Yep.
You're going to have a typo. I've
Yep.
seen people that are literally, if you have a typo, I'm glad that doesn't happen because I have typos. I've been doing some live tweeting on Friday nights with Shark Tank, and I've been talking about it, and we're talking 150 to 200 tweets in a couple hour span.
Yep.
I'm typing as fast as I can, and occasionally I miss that I mistyped a word.
But part of the beauty of social media, like you said, it's human to human.
Yeah.
The person on the other side is probably not going, "Oh man, he spelled trip wrong."
Right.
Like they're not slamming you for it.
Yeah.
There's no negative blood there necessarily.
And in this
you're having
case,
a conversation.
and in this case, I don't totally understand what happened and how this mistake happened. But apparently,
Me neither.
they're convinced that it was a mistake and that somehow this picture got out into their stream on accident. It wasn't blatant. It wasn't on purpose. And they said, "Look, we're going to stay with this person. We believe in what they're doing," and that happens.
Yeah.
Now, what happens for Home Depot or what happened for Chrysler was they scapegoated and they didn't take responsibility, which shows what happens when you say, "Look, I'm going to let someone else take care of my voice." And I'm all for third parties. Paid Pro Media is paid to have do tweets, so it's fine. But partner with people that you trust that's going to be your voice, and don't just scapegoat. If it's a mistake or something happened,
just say, what, that was an honest mistake.
Sometimes we got to say we're sorry.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's the greatest of great. Forgiveness. That is true H-to-H relationships.
Yes.
And it sounds almost a little cheesy to say H-to-H, human to human, because we get so focused that it's B2B or it's B2C, and really it's person to person. It's our interaction, and it's the opportunity to forgive someone. It's the opportunity to give grace to someone. It's the opportunity to have interaction and relationship with someone, and that's what social media gives to a brand. Is it makes us real people. Hats off to U.S. Airways in doing that. Hats off to people who realize that this is more than just we need to make a new PR statement and we're going to back off and blame someone else. Let's stand up, if it's a mistake, true leadership is even taking responsibility for something you didn't know about if it happened under your watch.
Yep.
And that's what you do. And that's when you stand up and you say, "Look, this was my fault because they did this while I was in charge, while I was in control. Even if you didn't know anything about it, who cares?
Yep.
Move on."
Be a leader.
All right. So, now, other stories this week.
Exciting story.
Go
Big
ahead.
story. Okay.
Because I don't even know where we're going here.
I'm taking us there.
Because I thought this was a pretty quiet week in social media.
Well, it was a pretty quiet week.
So what was the big story?
It's a pretty quiet week, except for the fact that Robert Downey Jr. got a Twitter account. Mind blown. Dude has not had a Twitter account and has been one of the biggest actors. Iron Man, all this stuff.
Iron Man is on Twitter?
Yes, exactly.
Have mercy.
All right, so he got on Saturday, April 12th. All right, get this. Saturday, April 12th. Today, we're sitting here on April 18th. He has 1.31 million followers. What did he do? In the first, hours or couple minutes, he tweeted 4 times and got up to 912,000 followers. What just happened? That's never, I hate to break it to you, that's probably not ever going to happen for your small business. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about Facebook, actually, and how if you are the face of your brand, you have tons of sway to market it. In this instance, we talked about before the show that Disney or Marvel or somebody said, "You got to get on Twitter so you can promote our next movie. You just have to."
You have to. There's no. He didn't want to probably do it. I think my understanding was it's somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but he was kicking and dragging his feet and saying, "I don't want to do this." He's now on Twitter. There's a power to being on Twitter. Yep. There's an interaction. I know that there are a lot of brands that are like small media, and what they'll do is one of their ways to do is they go after all the celebrities hoping for that retweet from a celebrity or hoping for that mention from a celebrity. And I was just noticing something. So his latest tweet, April 16th, 2 days ago, he's not active. In his first week, he didn't set the world on fire by the amount of tweets that he's putting out there. But he mentioned Dylan Khan's song for Syria and a Vimeo. And I was just going to Dylan Connor, who is at Dylan Connor. He's a singer-songwriter activist. You can watch his movie there. We'll link all that up through these stories here. But Dylan Connor has 1,953 followers. What would be intriguing, and I can't do this because I don't know, but how many followers that person had before he was mentioned. Because I wonder, is there power now that Twitter is somewhat democratized, and yes, everybody knows who Robert Downey Jr. is, and so he gets 1 million followers in a week. However, does his endorsement gain more followers and more interaction?
Absolutely. My guess, Probably, almost hands down, because the word fan is short for fanatic for a reason, because people are crazy about certain things. So if you're a Robert Downey Jr. fan, you're a Robert Downey Jr. fanatic. So you're going to like what he likes. You want to know what he's into. You want to know a little bit more about him, the things he cares about and are passionate about, probably, more than likely. So if he tweets something about this guy's Twitter account that you've never heard of, you're like, oh, wow, what's that? I want to know what he's into, and there you go.
Yeah.
Big endorsement, big push. So that is what this article here on Deadline is talking about, that how these actors and songwriters and singers have these Twitter accounts, and now their marketing agencies and the movies and things that they're trying to do are saying, hey, push us. We need that extra bump, because obviously there's power there.
Yeah, there is power, and it's not all that you go for as a brand is just get mentioned, but certainly being cognizant of what's happening out there, that they carry some weight. And what we got Snooki to retweet us last week, and I know that it gained us probably about 4 to 5% of our current, and our followership is still small, but it gained us quite a bit. She retweeted us, and suddenly we had lots more people. The fact is that Twitter is dominated by big names, not so much big brands. And some of the brands jump in. Oreo every once in a while. There are certain things that jump in, but certainly Twitter is the individual. And Robert Downey Jr. and Taylor Swift. Did you see her video this week?
I didn't see her video this week. I did not.
Oh, see, it was a big excitement because I love this. I love when a brand does this, because she's a person. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan. I couldn't even name one song, and I'm not a musician. But I love that she literally went out and she was going through her fan mail, which I love that she was doing it, and she was going through her invitations, and she got a wedding invitation and a bridal shower invitation from a fan that she knew was very interactive and been to lots of her shows, but had never met. Right. And she literally looked at the dates and was thinking about going to the wedding just to show up because she got an invitation, realized she couldn't, a tour or something like that, and so she decided she was going to go to the bridal shower and just surprise the person, and they filmed it like on her phone because it's poorly filmed, and part of that was the brand, and I'm sure they did it on phone. Threw up on YouTube, got him already a couple million views, and went up on YouTube yesterday. And that is the power of an individual and a person-to-person relationship, and tagging all us around. Robert Downey Jr., you know what? He's probably not going to have that much impact unless he starts to engage. Right. At this point, he has 1 million followers in the first week. But if he's like Taylor Swift, if he's like Lady Gaga, who learns how to have the power of Twitter and engage, then absolutely. Yeah. Brands should engage with him. Now, absolutely. Let's flip it around, all these things that we've been talking about. And I thought this was a great article by Fast Company. I love Fast Company. I've been a subscriber. I have read their, one of my favorite things is when I fly is to have my Fast Company and my Ink magazine. And there's still that time. I use, digital so often. I love the physical nature of Fast Company. And I also love their blog. And this, they specifically go on to social media and applies to us, the social media frequency guide, how often to post to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and more. It's a great article. Yeah, really great article. First of all, they either did research or partnered with, I couldn't tell from looking at it real quick here, but they worked with Buffer, which we love. But they used Buffer, and Buffer said, these are the big thing here that stood out to me is Buffer knows exactly when they're going to post, the exact number of times every single day. Yep. And there's a plan, a definite plan that they stick to. I mean, ridiculous times of the day. Like we put on Facebook twice a day, 7 days a week at 10:08 a.m. and 3:04 p.m. Yep. Why? That's what they have found to be the most successful and has worked for them. And they keep testing it and testing it. And that's something we're doing with our Buffer. We're making sure that we look and see what the analytics are. And what we find out is the times aren't always what we think they are. Yep. And it was just interesting. And so we have to actually test something. Yeah, and try it out. And if it's not working, because later in this post you find out that on Twitter specifically, and this goes through all of them, you only have 18 minutes. Yeah. And then your tweet's dead. Your tweet, no one's going to see it. And if they don't see it in those first 18 minutes, over half of your effectiveness is already gone. Right. We talked about this before the show. I'm surprised it lasts that long. Yeah. Especially with the number of people out there who are following thousands and thousands and thousands of other users. For the people who make it, more personal, and they only follow 250 or 300, that makes some sense. But for people out there who are following 5,000, 6,000 individuals, their time and chance of seeing your tweet is even shorter. I mean, you've seen when you're doing Shark Tank, those feeds just fly by. You can't even possibly keep up with it if you want to. But yeah, if you've got this really great tweet set up and you think it's going to be exciting and people are going to love it, they're going to interact with it, and you tweet and it's been 20 minutes and you've gotten 2 retweets,
don't keep sitting on it and waiting on it because it's done.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all
done.
you got.
And you have to realize, best practices when it comes to Twitter, and I'm going to say I don't know that this works, but there's a couple of brands out there that I follow that annoy the tar out of me. And what I think they do is they find a tweet they think is going to be successful, and then they tweet it like 10 times over a cycle of 4 days. Mm-hmm. And I keep seeing that, and that's when I turn them off. I mute them. Yep. I put them in a list that I don't follow. Yep. Because I'm like, I have seen that tweet once, and if I didn't retweet it the first time, I'm not going to. Now, sometimes you recycle a tweet and say, hey, I'm just putting this back out. And there's times to re-message and regroup. Yeah. But if it didn't work the first time, or if it didn't work the second time, and then stop trying.
Yeah. Please stop trying.
And stop self-promoting. I'm going to get off on it. Don't keep telling me that I should go to your site and subscribe. Stop. It's give, and eventually you'll get to an ask. But stop just, get off your...
Make our time as following you worthwhile, right? Make it something that we engage with, we love, something we want to click on, something we want to be a part of.
Social media is about the long play. We'll keep saying that. This is the long game, and it costs money to be in the long game. Yep. But the benefit outplays it's much larger than the risk is long term.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so let's continue on. We're going to get to our infographic of the week. Before we get there, we saw another story on this breakup letter that we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Wow. How did that happen?
It's the end of the world as we know it. You never know when I might break into a song. But yeah.
You found this article. Thought it was awesome. Take a shot.
Well, here's what I think. Facebook is not dying, and they come to that conclusion too. But there is a shift that is for sure happening. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked me on Twitter today, and by somebody I mean someone who is tweeting on behalf of Salcha, so that's how they asked me. But... they asked in 3 years if I could only use one social media, what social media would do. Did you tweet that?
I didn't tweet
One of our tweeters.
It was our guy, our social media specialist.
One of our specialists did that. I didn't know, and it bugged me in. And it actually came yesterday, and with my dad's surgery and everything, I didn't respond yesterday. And I was responding today, and I simply said Twitter. But I didn't put this in, but I thought in my head, you know what? In 3 years, I believe there will be something that's bigger than Twitter and Facebook. Mm-hmm. And I really do believe that. I think the cycle is there. Now, does that make Twitter and Facebook any less relevant today?
Not at all.
No.
Absolutely not.
And is Facebook going anywhere in 3 years? No, they're not going to be gone. But the demographic is changing who's using Facebook. We're talking, and for each case, we don't know all the data out there, but you have to look at the data. Certainly, there's a 25% decrease, and this article talks about that, in Facebook usage by 13 to 17-year-olds. Yep. But that's not there's still a huge population of 13-year-olds. You were talking about a family member of yours.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really funny. My youngest sister, I'm the oldest of 5. She is in 7th grade, I think. Yeah, she's only 13, so she's in 7th grade. I'm 24. So we are completely removed from each other as far as what she's into, what I'm into, completely different stages of her life. I'm married, she's in middle school.
I'm glad she's not married.
Right.
If you told me she was married, we may have had a different issue, a different conversation.
Completely different stages. So, but it was interesting because she turned 13 and she was excited because she could get a Facebook account. All these articles that we've been reading and stats that have been showing up about young teens moving away from Facebook. The last thing they want to do is Facebook, right? They want to do Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Vine, anything else that you can think of, Secret, all these ones that nobody even hardly knows about. They're just on the fringe. They want to go that direction because, well, the common theory is, well, my parents aren't there and I can just kind of do whatever I want. But my little sister wanted a Facebook account. That was exciting for her. Yeah. She doesn't care about Twitter or Instagram or anything else. And not that she won't eventually, by the time she's 17, trend away from Facebook. But I was wondering, I wonder how much that has to do with the fact that she's the youngest of 5 siblings who we all got on Facebook. And it was a big deal when we got on Facebook. And that we're here in the Midwest. And maybe what's trending and what's new and what's shifting these percentages is on the coasts where the new trendy stuff is happening.
And I think that's what's important is don't just take the story because it's on Mashable or the Next Web or something that if the Verge reports it, then I must go. It's what the Bible says. Oh. No. You just have to start looking at the data, trying to figure out, and sometimes it's going to have to be as simple as anecdotally, especially when we're in areas that aren't probably being studied. Northern Indiana isn't the hotbed of social media conversation and social, except for this great show. But it's certainly how things work here. It's different than how it works in Manhattan or how it works in LA. Yeah, so I think it's important. I love this that people are talking about it. End of the day. be on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how much time you spend? If your target audience is 13 to 17, then you better believe that you might be on less on Facebook and more on other things. I don't know what that is fully for you. You would have to come talk to us, tweet at me, send us a message on Facebook, interact with us somehow. We'd love to help you figure that out because we'd love to learn from you. We're trying to interact with different age groups and different conversations for different brands. But Facebook's not dead. We're not breaking up. I like, next web says, is Facebook doomed? With a user base of a cool 1 billion plus, Facebook will not be obsolete anytime in the near future.
Absolutely agree.
So, yeah, that's for sure. How about the infographic of the week?
Infographic of the week. I thought this was interesting.
We need a jingle for that.
Infographic of the week. So you never know when I'm going to break out.
Could you guys, somebody out there, write a jingle for us, and we will have it inserted when we do the show. Please.
There we go.
Thank you.
The title of this article made you laugh. Why retailers love millennial women.
It just sounded like it was a dating article, and I was a little scared of what he was sending to me. But, all right, so millennial women are loved by all those retailers because...
Because they have $2.45 trillion in spending power by 2015.
Well, got it.
$2.45 trillion in spending power.
Let me get my head around. I can't get my head around that kind of money. No, but
absolutely. So these are people born between 1980 and 2000. I'm a Gen Yer, right? So, I understand this except for that I'm a guy, and so evidently these retailers don't like me as much as they like my female counterparts. But there's so many stats in this infographic that just blow your mind. Women are what they're going after.
Well, because they are going to drive up to 52.63%, according to this infographic, more click-throughs and more retweets or reclicks, or however you want to phrase it, than your counterpart, the male.
Right.
And let's be honest, it's not totally surprising because retail is about shopping, and a lot of the shopping decisions are happening because women are making those decisions, because you and I as men sometimes don't like to jump in and make those decisions. I happen to be a person that likes to make those decisions, so I'm probably a little outside the loop there. But when you're targeting an audience and you're trying to move a product and you're trying to make find the decision maker in a household, it's most often the woman.
Right. I agree with
that.
you.
Sounded a little sexist. So.
But I think it's interesting that what this is all centered around is those clickbacks, those referrals, the connection, the community, the whole thing that brands go after, not the money.
Right.
Now the money comes, right? But the whole idea is they're building this connection, this web, this group of people who care about a brand, and they're going to share it with their friends.
Yep.
And there's so much power in that. We talk about that like crazy. Word of mouth marketing on steroids.
Absolutely. Because what it used to be was when I needed to make a decision, I called my friends and I got on the phone and I had but now it's I go to social media and they make the decision. And so this article is simply saying that, socially popular Gen Y, they're much more valuable if you can get. So you start figuring out who's the most valuable for your brand. And this isn't true for 100% of the brands, but for most brands, it's going to be a female who's a Gen Yer. If you can get them who love you and are passionate about you and are sharing about you, you're going to get more impact than if you get me or you to love them.
And it's really interesting. At the very end here, this infographic really drills down into that and says if you've got a Gen Y female who's got over 900 friends on Facebook, they're going to be 3.95, almost 4 times more valuable to a brand than those who have less than 100 Facebook friends. Makes sense, right? It's a bigger web, it's a bigger group of people, but they've got it figured out to a point where these people who are fit in this category, who love a brand, so well drilled down, it's all about data. It's all about knowing exactly who to partner with and who to delight. Literally.
Yeah, it is. It's all about enchanting the people that are around you, and certainly this tells us sometimes who we want to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this has been another pretty interesting episode on a fact that there wasn't a lot of great news, and we try to mix it up. We're trying to give. I think next week, what do you think next week? We haven't done this in a couple weeks. It's probably been 2 months, where we're just going to choose some random people out in the social media, and I'm going to, do you want to choose them this week, or you want, last time I did it?
Go for it,
I'm going to find them, and we're going to call them out and see what we see, and we're going to live stream it. So by the time this is on, next Thursday, I'm making a commitment. If you watch this and we're going to have a live stream, you can watch our Twitter. We'll live stream it out. And we're going to actually talk about those brands live on the internets and the interwebs. And we're going to choose some small businesses that we have no connection to and talk about how they're doing social media and how they can improve or what we like and dislike about what they're doing.
Sounds like a great time to me.
Yeah, so we're going to do that because I like doing that and I like to throw people under the bus. No, not really. Now, we really want you to interact with us. So let's start personally.
Yeah.
You can interact with me at NK Manahan. That's the best way to interact with me. I love to interact on Twitter, so please engage with me.
Same way, at Dustin Hickle. I'm on Twitter all the time. Google Plus, which is something that I don't know if you mentioned or not,
Yeah.
but I'm on Google Plus. Let's circle up Dustin Hickle.
Then you can follow us our brands. Obviously, we want to connect you with @Salcha, so you can do that at @Salcha. Basically, I think every social media, but Twitter and Facebook are our main platforms
Yep.
right now, but everywhere you can find us there. And what we really want you to do is tell us what you want us to talk about, engage with us, and maybe we can bring you on the show or something. We want this to be an interactive.
Yeah.
We're building this brand called Salcha. Our goal is we want to help small businesses become more efficient, more effective. As we say, we want them to learn, grow, and stay current, and Informe is part of that. In fact, there's a paid version of Salcha that's coming, and it's kind of there. You can get a 30-day free trial.
Yeah.
Those there. This is our out front. We're telling you that we want to make this as effective. We just want to give. That's
Yeah.
one of the things we want to do.
Absolutely.
Help us know how to do that.
Part of the way that we do that is partnering and working with Paper Media, where I'm from, at Paper Media, actually
And it's where I'm
developing
from, too.
Salcha.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that's what we do. Using what our talents and abilities are at Paper Media to help grow this Salcha product. So it's
Yeah.
really exciting, really cool. You can follow me at Paper Media. Also on Facebook, Paper Media, Google Plus, Paper Media, Instagram. You can find us just about anywhere.
So we'd love for you to contact us. We want to engage with you. And if you want to watch us live next Thursday, this will go out probably Monday or Tuesday because we're getting this out. We try to get this out usually the next day. When we record it Friday afternoon near the end of the workday, JT, as great as he is not going to get it done. So when you see this, it'll be after Easter.
Yep.
We hope you've had a wonderful Easter weekend. We hope you're really bringing spring in with style. And let us know what you think about all this stuff we call Informe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.